Clouds hover around the peaceful Erbai Peak, while Shen Shi's disciples chatter inside the bamboo forest, where they are bathing together in a hot spring. Kang Yuling remarks that Xuanyu is really big and wonders if she will let her touch them, but Xuanyu immediately refuses and directs her toward Han Xiampi since she is just as big. Han Xiampi questions what Kang Yuling is planning to do, while Kang Yuling urges her to simply give in, making Han Xiampi scream. Dong Yueli clicks her tongue before remarking that Kang Yuling has also grown quite a lot. Kang Yuling immediately screams and demands to know what Dong Yueli is doing, but Dong Yueli brings up hearing that Kang Yuling was also touched there by Shen Shi, and wonders whether her touch feels the same as Shen Shi's. Kang Yuling quickly denies it and begs Dong Yueli to forgive her. A few moments later, Shen Shi arrives and immediately wonders when Erbai Peak gained a bamboo forest and a hot spring, completely confused about what is happening. Xiao Qi'er announces that Shen Shi is back and reveals that she is the one who prepared the hot spring for him. Shen Shi accepts the explanation and decides that once Dong Yueli and the others are finished, he will also take a soak and relax after the journey. However, Xiao Qi'er refuses and explains that she specifically prepared it so Shen Shi could conveniently see her senior sister's seductive bodies while they bathe, adding that she has already done so much for Shen Shi and wondering whether he does not like her. Shen Shi nearly responds that he likes Xiao Qi'er, but his words trail off as he quickly regains his senses. He orders Xiao Qi'er to grow up, reprimanding her for daring to use charm techniques on him and demanding to know where she learned such underhanded tricks. Xiao Qi'er immediately wails and admits that she was wrong, explaining that she has never been able to cultivate, and with the sect trials approaching, she had no choice but to learn some self-defense techniques. Shen Shi warns Xiao Qi'er not to use charm techniques on her master either, then reassures her that she does not need to worry about cultivation because he came down the mountain specifically to help solve that problem. He instructs her to find him later in his room, and Xiao Qi'er agrees. With that handled, he moves on to the next matter. A few moments later, Shen Shi calls Bai Ran over. Bai Ran politely greets Shen Shi and apologizes for taking the liberty of visiting her and disturbing him, but Shen Shi brushes it aside and invites her inside. The two enter Shen Shi's courtyard, while Bai Ran recalls hearing that Shen Shi is chaotic, possesses extremely high cultivation, acts arrogantly and domineeringly, and is especially tyrannical toward his disciples. Yet at this moment, although Shen Shi still seems cold, he does not make people uncomfortable. Instead, being around him feels surprisingly comfortable. Bai Ran privately figures there must be many people who like him, only to sigh inwardly at what she is even considering. Shen Shi apologizes for not having much with which to welcome her, explaining that Dong Yueli previously dried some Edelweiss herb stalks and that they make fairly drinkable tea, before inviting Bai Ran to sit first. Bai Ran reveals that she came that day to thank Shen Shi for recommending Wei Qin to her during the Immortal Sapling Conference. Shen Shi dismisses it as a small matter since he merely believed Bai Ran was more suited to teach Wei Qin. However, Bai Ran explains that her position within the sect is not high, her disciples are few and only possess average talent, and gaining someone with genuine talent is almost impossible. Shen Shi, meanwhile, has deep cultivation and also possesses water and wood dual spirit roots. So his willingness to give Wei Qin to her clearly means he was looking out for her, and she intends to remember that kindness. Since her Lingzhu Peak cannot compare to Erbai Peak, she has little of value to offer. Still, fate allowed her to obtain an iceberg bamboo jade that matches Shen Shi's techniques, so she presents it as her gift of gratitude and hopes he will not mind. Shen Shi immediately objects because the item is extremely precious, and Bai Ran should have far greater need for it herself. Bai Ran firmly requests that Shen Shi accept it, promising that she will forever remember his kindness. Shen Shi privately observes that the seemingly gentle and well-spoken Bai Ran is actually soft on the outside and hard on the inside, possessing such firm determination that even death would not make her waver. With that in mind, he finally accepts the gift and assures her that if she ever encounters something she cannot solve, she can come find him. Bai Ran is moved by his words. Shen Shi then notices that Bai Ran appears to have another matter and encourages her to bring it up without being shy. Bai Ran explains that for the upcoming sect training, she wants to create a magic treasure for Wei Qin. Since she has heard that Shen Shi is proficient in refinement, she hopes he can create an immortal sword suitable for Wei Qin. and she has already prepared various refinement materials for him to use. Seeing how much Bai Ran prepared, Shen Shi privately notes that she is truly pouring her heart into Wei Qin. He agrees to help, especially since this also gives him the chance to prepare some magic treasures for his own few disciples. Bai Ran expresses her gratitude and promises that afterward, if Shen Shi ever needs anything from her, she will have no second thoughts. Shen Shi brushes aside the formality and invites Bai Ran to drink instead, and the two quietly enjoy the tea together. As Bai Ran drinks, she blushes while gazing at Shen Shi. Meanwhile, Shen Shi privately admits that peacefully drinking tea with the beautiful Bai Ran is quite enjoyable, and the feeling is not bad at all. Then, Shen Shi suddenly becomes alarmed. The realm of suppression between the spiritual links has loosened again, and he nearly fails to remain in the God stage. Bai Ran is just about to comment on the tea when her words suddenly trail off after she notices what Shen Shi is doing. Surprised, Bai Ran quickly imitates him, privately marveling that Shen Shi, her heavenly Dao elder brother, is far too generous, freely handing out implications and epiphanies. While she wonders whether the result of her dispersion can be absorbed by the people around her, Shen Shi wonders whether this means he can already take the substitute trainer task. He considers that the Dao Rhythm and spiritual links arrive every month and 10 days, and even anti-red appears more frequently than that. From there, he wonders whether dispersing those himself could help his disciples cultivate. A few moments later, Bai Ran opens her eyes and wonders whether she has actually broken through right there. Shen Shi congratulates Bai Ran, crediting her strong preparation and moment of enlightenment. She has skipped directly past the middle stage and entered the late stage of the Golden Core stage, meaning that from now on, she must be addressed as Master Bai Ran. Bai Ran gives Shen Shi her heartfelt thanks, but when Shen Shi wonders what she is thanking him for, he simply credits everything to her own hard work and insists that she deserves it. At the same time, he keeps one detail to himself. There is no way he can admit that suppressing his realm caused Dao Rhythm and spiritual links to leak out. Bai Ran grows flustered as she calls his name, then wonders if she can visit more often in the future, especially since his tea is so delicious. Shen Shi welcomes the idea, letting her know that she can come anytime she wants, before watching her leave. Not long after, Shen Shi suddenly calls Xiao Qi'er over. Xiao Qi'er complains that Shen Shi is such a pain and wonders why he has to be so charming, but Shen Shi immediately shifts the subject to her cultivation. Xiao Qi'er explains that she has already tried many different methods, yet every time spiritual energy enters her body, it completely dissipates after 5 spirit cycles without leaving even a shred behind. Because of that, she feels it is a shame that the qi-gathering elixir Shen Shi gave her ended up being wasted. Shen Shi calls her a foolish child, wondering why he would ever cry over something as small as a qi-gathering elixir. More importantly, he has already found a possible way to help with her cultivation, so he wants her to try it. With that, Shen Shi uses the same method he previously tested on Bai Ran. When Xiao Qi'er opens her eyes, she is immediately surprised and quickly grabs Shen Shi's arm, announcing that she feels better. Even Shen Shi is taken aback by the result. He then mentions that he has also prepared a mutated Edelweiss herb for Xiao Qi'er, which she can use if her cultivation reaches a bottleneck. However, Xiao Qi'er suddenly notices a strand of hair that is a different color from Shen Shi's and immediately wonders which woman it came from, causing her words to become scrambled. She quickly adds that Shen Shi does not need to worry because something like this is normal for someone his age, although there are still plenty of wanton women out there, so he must not allow himself to be fooled. If he has already chosen a woman, then he must tell her first. Shen Shi has no idea what she is talking about and urges her to hurry back to cultivation instead, especially with the clan experience being so dangerous. Xiao Qi'er then agrees to take the Edelweiss herb. Watching her leave, Shen Shi reflects that the real-life goddess is actually cheeky and two-faced, completely undisciplined and out of control. Still, Xiao Qi'er's problem is finally solved, and the world's path has been restored as well. Once the Frostless Jade's Daluo gold arrives, Shen Shi plans to close himself away and begin crafting magic treasures for those disciples. 3 months later, the elders gather at Dengtian Peak, the main peak of the Shangding sect. One elder reports that scouts from the Daiking sect have recently been spotted near the spiritual veins controlled by their sect. Another points out that the Diking sect has become increasingly active and has already swallowed up the 2 smaller sects nearby, making it seem obvious that they may be planning to cause trouble for Shangding sect next. Ning Shenming considers the situation carefully. The cultivation of Deking Sect's master, Huang Wushan, is close to his own, and there has been no news of any recent breakthrough. So launching a direct war against their sect should bring them no real benefit. Even so, they cannot afford to remain unprepared. He turns to the Great Elder and requests that he make another trip, first visiting Dongming Pavilion and then Yuhua sect, to explain the situation and hopefully secure their support when the time comes. The Great Elder is willing to visit Dongming Pavilion, but he firmly rejects the idea of going to Yuhua sect. His life is already nearing its end, so he hopes Ning Shenming can understand. Ning Shenming immediately remembers what happened 10 years ago, when a messenger was sent to Yuhua sect to deliver important announcements. Somehow, the man was delayed there for a long time, and by the time he finally returned, he had lost a considerable amount of weight while his cultivation had regressed. With that history in mind, Ning Shenming accepts the Great Elder's refusal. Another elder then points out that whoever travels to Yuhua sect must possess considerable strength, since only then can Shangding sect properly demonstrate its sincerity. In his view, Bai Ran, who has reached the late Golden Core stage, should be qualified for the task. Ning Shenming remains hesitant because Bai Ran has only recently broken through, and sending her alone feels risky. The elder immediately proposes another option. Shen Shi can accompany Bai Ran, and an expert at the perfected Golden Core stage should be more than enough to command the respect of Yuhua sect. At that moment, Ning Shenming realizes that this elder has been waiting for a chance to cause trouble. He starts explaining that Shen Shi has still sealed off his peak, but before he can finish, a brilliant light suddenly erupts from the mountains. Ning Shenming is startled and initially wonders if an immortal treasure has emerged. Once the elder identifies the direction as Erbai Peak, Ning Shenming nearly feels his heart stop. But after sensing it more carefully, he determines that it is not actually an immortal treasure. Even so, there is a strand of Dao Rhythm mixed into the phenomenon, meaning it should still be an extremely high-quality Xuan treasure. For a moment, Ning Shenming is left speechless. Meanwhile, Shen Shi privately admits that he was careless. His suppression slipped slightly, and he nearly ended up crafting an immortal treasure. If he had truly succeeded, the aftermath would have been far too troublesome. A little later, Shen Shi's disciples gather and greet him after his seclusion. Shen Shi immediately checks on their progress and wonders how their cultivation has been going. Dong Yueli reports that her junior sisters have all been extremely serious about cultivation, especially Xiao Qi'er and Han Xianpi. Those two have advanced particularly quickly and have already reached level 5 of the Qi refining realm. Hearing that they are already at level 5, Shen Shi considers their progress quite good. At this stage, Xiao Qi'er can already be regarded as an intermediate cultivator. Suddenly, Dong Yueli calls out to Xiao Qi'er and points out that Shen Shi has only just emerged from seclusion, meaning his spiritual energy is still unstable, so she should not stay too close to him right now. Xiao Qi'er dismisses the concern, reminding her that her 5 elements are fixed and that their specialty is dissolving the impact of spiritual energy, so there should be no problem. Dong Yueli and Xiao Qi'er smile at each other, yet a clear spark of tension passes between them, leaving Shen Shi uneasy. To move things along, Shen Shi turns his attention back to Dong Yueli and praises her progress as well. Reaching the 2nd level of the foundation building realm is certainly not bad. Dong Yueli credits the technique Shen Shi taught her for helping her break through, and Shen Shi checks whether she has already mastered softness around the finger. Dong Yueli confirms that she has. More than that, she has also grasped the meaning behind the technique, allowing her to adjust it according to the characteristics of her own spiritual power and develop something stronger and better suited to herself. Shen Shi is immediately baffled. The method he taught Dong Yueli was only meant to brush up a little goodwill. There was never any deeper meaning behind it, and he certainly was not and has not done what she is implying. So she really should stop speaking such nonsense. Still, he praises her for creating a technique of her own and requests a demonstration. Dong Yueli agrees, but she wants Xiao Qi'er to accompany her since Xiao Qi'er is particularly skilled at dissolving the impact of spiritual energy. Xiao Qi'er accepts and politely requests that Dong Yueli show a little mercy. Dong Yueli naturally agrees, since this is only supposed to be a demonstration. Listening to the two of them, Shen Shi cannot help wondering how a cultivation novel has somehow started sounding more like a court drama.